Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Front Row Access Podcast. I just punched the fuck out of my mic.
No one cared about it.
I'm your host, Steven Russo.
I'm Anthony Gonzalez.
Let's fucking get it. All right, y'all. So, crazy week. We had UFC 310 just this past weekend. Awesome fight card. Lots of knockouts on the prelims, and even the main card fights were incredible. What was your favorite fight of the night?
Ooh.
It was quite a bit.
Well, I know, because you had just mentioned, like, how many knockouts we would get, and I was just thinking of how many people were also robbed, like Sterling was.
Yeah, like Sterling was on the prelims. I mean, I'm like the last person to defend Aljamain Sterling on like fucking anything, but homeboy got fucking robbed. I'm gonna be real. And I even predicted for Mobstar to win that fight. I was right, but like, oh jeez.
And it wasn't Mike Bell on the judge roster for that. He was there though.
And even Cyril Gahn, when he fucking won and he shouldn't have. Even Dana White went up to Volkov after and said, "You got fucked." Yeah. Like, legit, Dana White went to Volkov and said, "You got fucked."
My favorite would probably be Ian Gary's match.
Ian Gary and Shavkat was incredible, man. So I heard that Rachmanov tore his MCL prior to the fight. So maybe that affected his performance, but at the same time, man, Shavkat just, like, I don't know, man. He looked a little rough out there, I'm gonna be real.
Yeah, Ian took him to the limit, honestly. That's the most damage I've seen done to him, and that's the longest I've seen them go. Obviously, Ian knew that he had to go crazy at the start, and that his best chance was to wear on him.
Yeah, and
attrition.
Like, dude, I'm gonna tell you, man. Like, I know, like, Ian Gary is like the guy that everybody like dunks on all the time. I fucking love the guy. I'm gonna be real. I think he's a good guy.
We'll be talking about someone who's dogged on him in a bit.
Yeah. So, I think Gary's, a fucking. I think he's cool. I mean, yeah, sure. Colby Covington, Sean Strickland did their things. About his like wife and whatnot. But like, fuck, do I care about that shit, man? He's got a kid. He looks to be like a rather decent human, and he just looks like he works hard. I mean, he had Charles Oliveira in his corner, which we had a little end of the fifth round. I was like, Ian Oliveira, like bro was taking backs. He was threatening chokes. Like he was on that chin, bro.
They had a few more minutes.
They had a few more minutes, man. Jesus, Shavkat looked rough in that fight. I mean, I'm gonna partially blame it on his injury because I don't know if he sustained it in the fight or if he got it like prior to the fight and just said, fuck it, I'm about a week out from the fight. Let me just go and fight." But
You want to call someone in on 3-hour notice?
Want to call someone out in on a 3-hour notice? Nah, man. Let's not do that again, please and thank you. But so Shavkat, he looked a little rough. I'm gonna be honest. I thought Gary was gonna get fucking smoked in the first.
Oh yeah,
round.
he performed a lot better than I thought he would. Honestly, going into that, I expected Shavkat by a lot more. Once again, we don't know about this injury, when it happened, how it was sustained, how that affected it.
And then we went out there and they went to fucking war, and I'm like, Jesus. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, they're both undefeated. They're two of the like only remaining undefeated fighters in the UFC right now. So like, obviously one was gonna go down. Ended up being Ian Gary at the end, which I don't disagree with the decision. Ian Gary did lose the fight, but it was like what was it? It was like 3 rounds to 2. It was like really fucking close. And it was a good fight, honestly. Fight of the year contender right there. Ian Gary, Shavkat Rakhmonov. That was a good fight. I think the replay will be available on ESPN Plus in a couple of weeks. And for those of y'all that did buy the pay-per-view, it's available right now. But I would go back and like watch that fight because this is what the UFC looks like in the future, man. Because like these are your guys right here. Like the welterweight division, I keep saying it because like it's true. I have nothing but like optimism for the UFC welterweight division because it's a rather slow division right now, but there's some movement. Like the old guard is starting to move away. Yeah, I mean, we got one of the old guard that's fighting this weekend, Colby Covington, but they're going away, and we're seeing all these new fighters. We got Ian Gary, we have Shavkat Rakhmonov, we have Sean Brady, we have all these like heavy hitter guys that are like going absolutely wild. I'm like, the welterweight division looks really healthy for the future, and I'm anxious to see what happens for the UFC welterweight division. What are you feeling about that, Ant?
I want to see Usman some more.
I want to see Usman at least one more time.
Already pretty much quasi-retired, but for what it's worth, when he was fighting and what I did see from the few fights of him I did see, it was entertaining, and I want to see where he is after sustaining his failure at reclaiming the title and how he fights now that he's not champion.
Yeah, because I mean, we only got like a short glimpse of it, but it was on short notice against fucking Hamza Chimaev.
Yeah, short
So
notice fights. Y'all know how I feel about him by now.
yeah, I don't like them either, but I mean, shit.
So
If
I
we
know
get
what.
it, we
What
get
we
it.
also don't like our catchweight bouts.
Oh yeah, fuck that. I mean, fucking Brian Battle, man. I mean, I love Brian Battle. I got nothing but hope for the guy. He's also in the welterweight division, by the way. And
Is he though?
yeah, well, he's supposed to be. It was like 4 pounds over the fucking limit. I'm like, guy, the fuck are you doing? But nah, he had a pretty good performance this past weekend as well. Brian Battle, he did pretty good out there. Where what did he do to that motherfucker? What did he do? I forget right now. But he won a decision against Randy Brown. It was a good fight though.
Yeah.
But even fucking like we go on to the main card. Obviously, we had Cyril. Like we just talked a lot about Shavkat Rakhmonov and Ian Gary. That was like probably my favorite fight of the night. It was a good one, man. I was like, oh shit. Then another one that I thought would be better than it ended up being was Cyril Gane and Alexander Volkov. I thought that fight was gonna be fire. It wasn't fire, and then there was a robbery. So
Gon has been disappointing as of late.
that's what two out of his last three fights that he's won.
He should probably just stay over in France for his fights.
Yeah, because then I think he feeds off that crowd energy.
Yeah.
Like I've mentioned this like problem with Cyril Gane before. I think he's spoiled by his talent and how he's marketed. I think and I just don't think he's all there. Like he's a good fighter and he can be really good. I've seen his best work, but like at the same time, I just don't think he's completely in it. I don't think his heart's in it. I just think he's doing it, and he's like, he just comes off as like spoiled to me. Like, so when am I gonna get top contender? When am I gonna get like he's entitled to these things just because of the way he's marketed? Like, because they market him extremely well. Like the UFC fucking loves Cyril Gane, but and rightfully so. But I think because of that, Cyril Gane's ego is just a little bit too big. So that's why I can't really completely get behind him. On like,
How the hell did he win?
how did he? I don't know how he won, dude. To me, that was a 30. That was a 30-27 for Volkov. Like, I think Volkov dogged on him the whole fight. I'm gonna be honest. And then he somehow won at the end. I was like, what, brother, what? Like, what? Why? And I mean, it's bad when even Dana White goes to Volkov and says, "You got fucked." Like,
Yeah.
and Dana White's got no power over that shit. So like, when he tells you got fucked, he truly means you got fucked. Like he probably would have been like, hey, just let the guy have it, okay? Yeah, And just I think I think that's what happened. But
I see this as a play to keep fucking Gon up in like the top three spaces because there's no well, no, I'm not gonna say no. People in France, maybe, no UFC fan saw that as Volkov taking the L.
no, like every single UFC fan with a brain, unless they're like a Cyril Gane glazer, which there's a couple out
Oh
there.
yeah.
Like unless they're like a Cyril Gane glazer, everybody was pretty much on the same page. Like, what the fuck? How did Volkov win that shit? He shouldn't have won that shit.
There might have been.
How did
takedowns or some
Gane win that shit and Volkov
It,
lost that shit?
it
So I meant to
was
say
it was bad.
it was really bad. But enough about bad decisions. Let's go to what fucking Bryce Mitchell did. Bryce Mitchell's back from the dead. He went out there against Kron Gracie, beat him, knockout in round 3. It was a big slam knockout, and then a huge elbow to seal the deal. Bryce Mitchell back on top, bounced back after that horrific, and I mean like horrific loss.
We've made this comment a couple times. He probably got sent up to the pearly gates and was told, "Dude, you ain't supposed to be here for a while."
You ain't supposed to be here for at least a little while. Well, what the fuck you doing here now? I swear to God, Bryce Mitchell fucking saw God that day. But
I will say I'm glad he took the time off. Glad he spent it with the family, and also glad to see him back.
Yep. And, it's good to see him. I like watching him fight, but man, Bryce Mitchell has gotten to, like, Sean Strickland levels of, like, obscurity. Like, I can't wait for the press conference to spew, like, the most bullshit imaginable. I mean, bro went up there after the fight, and he was like, "So I went to a Native American reservation, and they gave me this necklace. The necklace represented Jesus, God, and the Holy Spirit, and they named me Bear Claw because I protect people." I'm like, okay, Bryce. Okay, Bryce. And then he starts talking. I'm surprised he didn't bring his fucking Bible down to the octagon again. But and then on top of that, like, he's gotten to like Sean Strickland levels of just absolute obscurity. So I don't know. The dude's a flat earther, and he won't vaccinate his kids, which fine, but at the same time, man, that's kind of it's a little iffy, at least for me. But whatever. Bryce Mitchell's cool. I like the guy. He's just a little odd duck. He's a little odd duck.
Little out there.
He's a little out there. And then like when they ask him his training regimen, he goes, "Oh yeah, me and my buddy would do that in my garage on the weekend." I pulled off a twister on him. Apparently, it's called a twister, but it's actually like we just called it the Huckleberry Finn. And I'm like, okay, Bryce. Okay, Bryce, get off the stage now. Goodbye.
See you next time.
See you next time. And then we have another good fight between Nate the Train Landwehr taking 2 L's in a row. This poor guy has had his hype train completely derailed. And Duho Choi back at it again. Had a fucking war with him. Got that knockout. And it was a pretty good fight. And then we also had Vicente Luque by fucking Darce It's always Vicente Luque by Darce And I'm like, I should have bet. I said Vicente Luque by Darce right before the fight. And guess what happened? Round 1. Vicente Luque by Darce And I'm like, it's always Vicente Luque by Darce
Aren't they calling it a different choke for some reason?
I don't know why. It's logged in like the victory books as a Darce choke. The commentators called it an anaconda choke, but like there's a difference between the two of them. As a person that's been on the receiving end of both of them,
Which one's harder to get out?
Darce easily. But anaconda chokes are usually it's all about like where your choking arm is. So think of an anaconda choke kind of like modified guillotine, but like not pulling upwards, instead grabbing like your bicep here and going into like a rear naked choke grip, but you roll your opponent's head further into your choke arm. And like the big part of the anaconda choke is the roll, hence the anaconda. And then Darce choke, it's kind of like a sideways rear naked choke, except you have to trap your arm underneath one of their armpits, because then you're going to put more pressure on the neck here. But that's really what it comes down to. You have to find out if that choke arm is over the neck or if it's or if the armpit's in the way. If the armpit's in the way and they kind of just do a half turn and then they're kind of like on top leaning over like this and choking somebody out, then that's a Darce choke. But if they're rolled onto the other side with a rear naked choke grip like this, then they're like, that's an anaconda choke. It's really hard to decipher the two. They're very similar.
Well, apparently the judges don't know the difference.
In the victory book, it goes down as a Darce choke, but according to the commentators, it was an anaconda choke. So I don't know. Those two are they're about the same choke. It's just there's a little bit of a difference. The roll is the big thing with the anaconda choke. If you see somebody roll and then they're like kind of almost in a north-south position, squeezing on the neck, then that's an anaconda. But if they're kind of off to the side and just looks like a sideways rear naked choke, that's a Darce choke. It's just weird, but they're commonly they both, if there are more, like, I'm not the biggest jiu-jitsu ace in the world. If I got any viewers that are like big time jiu-jitsu people, could you explain that more in the comments so I can make sure I'm putting out the right info here. And Dominic Reyes and Anthony Smith. Dominic Reyes continues his winning ways against Anthony Smith. And Anthony Smith, man, I just got to feel bad for the guy. He had one of his coaches pass away during fight camp. And I bet you those emotions were definitely getting the better of him in that fight. He just couldn't focus. He took the gloves off. He didn't set them down in the octagon yet, but I think Anthony Smith should just go, honestly. I think he's done. I mean, he's 39 years old now. He has a 38-21 record. Dude's been in a million fucking fights, and he doesn't always win. So, I think Anthony Smith should just go by the wayside. But anyway, that was UFC 310. It was a pretty good fight. And this week we have welterweight division once again is highlighted. Colby Chaos Covington. We all know this guy.
I thought it was Kobe can't beat Champ Covington.
Colby can't beat Champ. That's a good one. 3 times can't beat Champ. Got finished by Usman in their first fight. Lost a close decision to Usman in their second fight. And then absolutely got fucked on by Leon Edwards and forgot he was Colby Covington until the 5th round. And then he remembered, oh shit, I'm Colby Covington. Yeah, it was, I don't know, man.
What's his record?
Colby Covington, he doesn't fight despite him being in the UFC for a long time, he doesn't really have a very big record. He's only 17-4. Like, the dude does not fight that often.
See, I asked that specifically because, you, super huge Colby Covington fan, and he explained it to me in the way that Covington was near unstoppable going into this, and he was into UFC, like when he first started, and he was still about to be let go because he wasn't as entertaining a person to watch as some of the other stars. Now, this is a ranked fighter who they were about to let go before he pulled a huge, I'm gonna say Trump-like speech in Brazil.
Brazil, you're a dump!
and because there's no such thing as bad publicity, people kept their eye on him and kept him underneath the lens, and he kept doing well. The fact that you said he's 4-17 means that 3 of the 4 losses would have been to champions.
Yeah.
And one somewhere else. The dude was really good and looked undefeatable.
For a while. For like a long time. I think he had 1 loss going into the UFC that he got in another professional MMA promotion. I think he got knocked out. I don't remember exactly, but all of his other losses, like number 2, 3, and 4, were all to the champ. He had 2 to Usman and 1 to Leon. So, like, it was, Colby Covington literally used to be the definition of the Merc with a mouth. Like, legitimately, he would go in there and, like, perform. Like, he would be all gas, no brakes. He'd use his high-pressure wrestling, and that's what made me a fan of Colby. I could get past all of his Trump antics and all his character work. Like, that's fine.
Oh, yeah, Trump's favorite UFC fighter.
Yeah, I love how Colby still thinks that. I'm pretty sure he's not Trump's favorite UFC fighter no more.
And the man respects the first responders, too.
Oh, yeah, so much so that he takes a knee mid-fight against Jorge Masvidal for them.
Definitely wasn't knocked.
Definitely wasn't a knockdown or anything.
He was just taking a knee for the first responders.
Yeah, so, I mean, Colby Covington, I mean, I don't really love his character all that much, but, like, if it gets you, like, viewership, fuck it.
The thing is, the character kept him around.
The character kept him around. Like, if he didn't go and do the thing,
dark side.
If he didn't turn heel and go to the dark side, then he wouldn't be in the UFC. Like, I've heard from a couple of sources that, like, Colby Covington is actually, like, not a bad dude, you know? Like, he's actually, like, really, like kind, you know? But I've also heard from a couple of sources, but most of the people are, like, people he has beef with. They're saying he's actually a piece of shit and became that character, such as Dustin Poirier and Jorge Masvidal. They say that Colby was really good, and then he did that character thing, and then he became that character, and his ego got too big. That's, like, on account of Dustin and Jorge Masvidal, which are people that Colby Covington notoriously has beef with, so they're, like, not the best sources in the world, you know?
That thing with the whole fighting camp he was out of?
Yeah, he was an American Top Team. He used to train with Dustin Poirier and Jorge Masvidal. Like, they would train together. Like, and they would, like, sharpen each other's blades. You know what I mean? Like, Colby was good at the wrestling, Jorge was good at the striking, and Dustin was good with jiu-jitsu. So they'd all kind of work together, sharpen each other's blades up a little bit, and that was that. But
now, we aren't doing a fighter spotlight on him. Maybe later. We've got a shit ton of podcasts to plan out. But, like, I meant to say specifically, like Volkanovski fight, we didn't do a spotlight on him. But when he went for the championship against Leon Edwards, this man, I'm not going to say glazed the shit out of him, but I would say glazed the shit out of him, which is how I know a lot of what I know about him, because, like, you all know, I only really started this 2 years ago about.
A little bit over 2 years now.
So, that's why I knew that he was from their fighting camp switched up on them. I wonder if they just bought her.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, honest to God, you just don't know. And I mean, I don't know Colby Covington personally. I don't know
We'd
Jorge.
love to if you want to get on the show.
Oh God. Or Jorge Masvidal personally.
We'd love to if you'd like to get on the show.
Exactly. And same with Dustin Poirier. I don't know him personally either.
We would love if you wanted to get on the show.
Dude, I might not be able to talk if Dustin's on the show. I might be too starstruck, I'll be honest. But
just over cursory knowledge of them, we can go over Dustin's hot sauce. We can ask why Masvidal had the stink face when it came to presenting the BMF belt.
yeah.
And we can ask Kobe how he feels, given if he wins or loses this fight afterwards.
Yeah, because I like back to Colby though. Like the dude like literally used to be the definition of a merc with a mouth. Like legitimately, like his feud with Usman, even though like he lost, like it doesn't matter that he lost because he's the like people didn't really become fans of Kamaru Usman until Colby started being an asshole to Kamaru Usman. So like, you know, for in total, he kind of did them both a service, you know, and it did both of them a service because Colby got eyes onto the fight. He gave Usman some star power as well as adding to his own. So I mean, to be honest, if it wasn't for Colby starting mad beef and bringing up all this shit about his dead dad and whatnot with Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards, I don't think they'd be at the same level of superstardom as they are now, especially Usman. Leon, and nobody really. I love Leon to death because the dude doesn't talk. The dude just shows up, fights, and then goes back home and like does nothing. I mean, obviously his last fight he got ragdolled, but
England is Vice City.
and then bro just goes back to England with his family and just chills out. And then I'm like, how do you not? And like, it's skill for skill wise, Leon Edwards is one of the best people on the roster. If you want to see somebody that can do it all, it's Leon Edwards. Like Leon Edwards is a mixed martial artist, and like everybody just hates on him. Like every single time I see Leon Edwards get brought up anywhere on like toxic places like MMA YouTube. No offense, guys. MMA Twitter and MMA TikTok. Whenever there's a video with Leon Edwards, there's comments like "You let him bully you, son," against with this whole loss to Bilal Muhammad. But anyway, back to this fight night right here. So Colby Covington has not fought since he took the mad L to Leon Edwards last December. Dude took a year off, ducked Ian Gary for a whole year, and that's what I'm saying. Like Colby used to be the merc with the mouth, as I keep mentioning, but like then after he lost, he talked a lot of shit going into the Leon Edwards fight, as Colby does, and then he got absolutely dogged on by Leon, and Colby's credentials already starting to go down a little bit because he just did not show up to fight that night. And then on top of that, everybody's starting to speculate wanting to see him fight Ian Gary, and then he just ducks Ian Gary for an entire year. And that's like all of this stuff over the past year. Colby's just been kind of on the downward spiral.
Credentials have been fucked.
Credentials have been fucked. Like, you know, it's been like bad, you know, for Colby this year. And that's why I'm glad he at least took a fight this year to, you know, kind of dodge that whole notion of he's ducking the younger guys, because now he's going against Joaquin Buckley. I'm like, why the fuck are you going against Joaquin fucking Buckley?
He wants the name under his belt.
Like, excuse me, Joaquin fucking Buckley. I mean, obviously we know Joaquin Buckley. He's ever since moving down to welterweight, the dude has not lost a fight, and he's had credible wins over Wonder Boy. And who else did he also beat at fucking thing? He beat Wonder Boy and derailed Andre Fialdo, who was killing it for about a year, and then just said, and then he went up against Joaquin Buckley, and Joaquin Buckley said, "Oh, you thought you're gonna win? Get fucked," you know. And like Joaquin Buckley, since moving back down to welterweight, has been unstoppable, man.
Did you just say moving back down? So he was here before?
Yeah, well, in his earlier days, yeah. Like,
was he as unstoppable then?
I mean, it was when he was younger. So, like, most of his UFC career has been at middleweight, and he didn't have a very good record at middleweight just because he was a smaller middleweight, which is kind of hard to call Joaquin Buckley small because the dude's not small.
Comparatively.
But comparatively to like people at 185, think about who's at 185. Dracus Du Plessis, that dude's a big guy. Sean Strickland, these guys. So like, he was objectively the smaller guy. So when he goes down to welterweight again, then he's just been fucking murking people since moving down there. And it's been entertaining, despite one of them being Stephen Thompson, who's one of my favorite fighters. But
Yes,
it's okay.
one of them.
But it's okay. I can forgive that. It was a good performance. It was a good performance, and also you guys have seen his big highlight reel back in 2020 on October 10th when his kick got caught to the body. Then he said, "Oh, you got that leg? Well, I'm just gonna fucking use my other one." And the spinning back kick to the face, a dude got knocked the fuck out, and dude was gone. Speaking of which, that guy that was on the receiving end of the Joaquin Buckley KO, the notorious one from 2020, he ended up winning the PFL championship just last year, and he got the $1 million check and everything. So things are looking good for that guy. But yeah, but nah, this is a good fight. For Buckley, honestly, I think Colby had a better chance of beating Ian Gary than he has a chance of beating Joaquin Buckley. That's because Buckley's a fucking animal, dude. I mean, he's like the Michael Chandler of welterweight, but except he actually puts his hands up every now and again. And I think it just is pure, like, he's a strong guy. He's good in clinches. He's the stronger guy going against Colby Covington. Like, he is, like, physically stronger than Colby Covington. And Colby's going to need to do some real crafty shit and be on his top game if he wants to get any kind of win over Joaquin Buckley this weekend. But if Colby can, remember that he's Colby and do his thing, like close that distance fast, don't outpace Joaquin Buckley's pace, because Joaquin Buckley's not a very fast guy. He's just explosive. So you just got to watch his bursts of energy. So if he's able to negate his explosivity, and with just mad pressure, just throwing punches, throwing kicks, throwing whatever the fuck, constantly shooting takedowns or just getting in his face the whole fight, then Colby has a chance of winning. But if Colby doesn't remember that he's Colby Covington, like he did last time, then I'm sorry. Joaquin Buckley's going to find Colby's chin. Colby doesn't have the sturdiest chin in the world. He's got a chin. It's okay, but it's not like Max Holloway levels or like Calvin Kattar levels. The dude gets smoked. And I think there are more ways for Joaquin Buckley to win and just more opportunities that Joaquin Buckley can capitalize on, especially when Colby rushes in. Because when Colby rushes in, he gets a little reckless, from just historically, from me watching his fights over the years. And that's just that, man. I honestly think this is a terrible fight for Colby. Colby should have taken the Ian Gary fight because, honestly, I think Colby... I mean, I would have wanted Ian Gary to win that fight, probably. Just because I've seen Colby. I know what Colby can do. It's clear Colby's not going to be a champ. So, fuck it. Let's have him go out, have a
He's only had 3 attempts, 4th time's the charm.
So is Dustin. I've already accepted the fact that Dustin's never going to be champion, so I'm good. So, it's just, like, Colby's also at that age, man. I'm looking at his age right now. He's 36 years old, dog. Like, he's been around a little while now. I think he made his UFC debut back in, like, 2014, 2015, something like that. Like, it's been about 10 years since Colby's been in the UFC. So, like, I don't really think, I think Colby would have had a better shot at beating Ian Gary than he does beating Joaquin Buckley, just because Buckley's an animal. But Ian Gary's a little bit more of a calculated person, and I think Colby would work best against people that are like Gary, like those kind of really precise, like, counter strikers, because they're gonna try to find their shots. They're gonna try to, like, oh right, he tends to put his hands down every single time he fakes a shot, so now I'm just gonna lay it right over the top, and he's gonna go down. But because they're making all these analytics in their head, and Colby's a pressure fighter, all Colby's got to do is just pressure. But when you're a pressure fighter against a pressure fighter, whoever has some more pressure and more strength wins, and that's Joaquin Buckley. So I think Joaquin Buckley's going to fucking flatline Colby, and Colby's going to retire.
I see Buckley having this. It's just Colby has not lived up to the hype. Unfortunately,
at least lately. Like, lately, at least. When he was first starting, yeah, he totally did, but not anymore.
Yeah, but I'm talking from my experience. Like,
Yeah.
1 year he's taken off. I've been watching for like 2 years now.
Yeah.
You know, but hypothetically, if Kobe does win, do you think he has a shot at beating the current champ?
Bilal? Oh, jeez. I don't know, man. It's wrestler versus wrestler. So, I mean, ultimately that's going to play out with who's better in striking. And Bilal, I don't know, man. He's just always finds a way to win by decision. So, I think Bilal would find a way to win by decision. But I think, if objectively speaking, like skill for skill wise, like if we're going off of everything, Colby has a better chance at beating someone like that fights similar to him. But like I don't know, Bilal's much younger. He's a lot hungrier, it seems. So I'm like, Colby probably not in it. I think Colby's into being a pop culture guy these days, like a fucking shining beacon for all things Trumpism. So which fine if you found your niche, go for it, bro. But yeah, I don't. I think Colby would still lose to Bilal, but he'd have a chance.
Side note, guys, hit us up.
Pepsi hit us up. We love Mountain Dew. FrontRowAccess15@gmail.com is the business email address, and you can follow us on all social medias. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, not Facebook, because fuck Facebook. And yeah, so I don't think Colby's got a chance against Bilal Muhammad, honestly, at this point in the game. Nah, Colby's not gonna do it. Colby's not gonna be a champion ever in his career. Sorry, Colby Covington, guys. So yeah. Anyway, guys, that's MMA. And we're going to move on to our Linkin Park topic. But beforehand, I just want to go over UFC 311's main event got confirmed. I don't know if I said it in the last episode. I might have. I might not have. But it's Arman Sarukian and Islam Makhachev 2. It's going to be a really fucking good fight, all right? Really good fight. Both of these guys have not lost, only lost one time since their last meeting. I think I forget exactly what Dana White said their combined record is right now, but it's only one loss, and that one loss would be Armin's loss to Islam back in 2018 when they fought, 2019. So that's going to be an excellent fight for the lightweight title. I think whoever wins this fight faces Charles Oliveira next, but there's also rumors that Ilia Topuria wants to move to lightweight.
No.
And he wants Charles Oliveira. So, and he was kind of honest though. Ilya was like, "Look, guys, I'm not trying to fight for the title. I just can't make 145 consistently." And so, if I need to fight multiple times a year, I'm gonna need one shot at lightweight every year. Which I think if he can actively fight in two divisions, that's kind of cool. But I don't think he's gonna be fighting for the title. At least not yet. At least he shouldn't. You know.
If it beats Oliveira, that's first contender right there.
Yeah. But then, there's been some talks that Ilia Topuria wants to compete actively in both kind of divisions. Oh, ooh, just got mad feedback on the mic there.
I don't like that in regards to a champion.
Nah. Fighting actively in two divisions.
No, you're a champion. You gotta
stay in your weight
down.
class. Mm-hmm.
You gotta hold that championship down.
Oh yeah.
Or you know what, dude? It might kill you, but do twice as many fights.
Yeah.
Every 3 months, fighting each one.
Which that actually might kill Ilia Topuria, because Ilia Topuria, the guy walks around at 190 something pounds. So and he's a 145 champion, which would make a lot of sense as to why he has such deadly power.
Didn't Ilia say he was gonna give Volkanovski a shot?
I think that's their next fight. Yeah, but
don't talk Oliveira
until you're done with Volk.
Until you do more work in fucking featherweight.
Because Volk's, I've already said it 1,000 times. Volk has more than proven himself worthy of a rematch. I think he denied the title shot again, gave it to Max, gave it to Max Holloway because he just wanted to take that year off. This whole year we saw Volkanovski fight once in February and he got knocked out. So that's unheard of for Alexander Volkanovski. So yeah, I think he just wanted to sit out, take some time, which good on him. And then also, our newly minted bantamweight champion Merab Dvalishvili will be defending his bantamweight title against Umar Nurmagomedov. Khabib Nurmagomedov is going to be a busy man that night. He's going to be coaching his cousin and Islam. Same night. So we'll see if Coach Khabib comes out for both of them.
I mean, didn't he reject Soviet citizenship? He's now over here all full time.
Yeah, and yeah, so makes sense.
I mean, what else you gotta fucking do over here?
Yeah, I mean, I go Coach. I go Coach.
I expect you on a cereal box in 3 years. The Magomedovs.
Nurmagomedov's cornflakes. Nah, but you know, as much as I'm a Dagestani hater most of the time, like I always want them to lose. I like Khabib. I mean, he was like, yeah, like I can't bring myself to hate the guy, but I can tell you that I think people overinflate his record and
Well,
call him the GOAT.
well, you can't say he's a bad guy because he did not want to break arm in front of mother.
I didn't want to. I knew his mother was in the audience, so I didn't want to break his arm in front of his mom. So, I don't know. I like Khabib. And Islam, I mean, he just beats my favorite fighters.
Yeah, he's just unstoppable. That's
Like-
only issue.
Like, Islam just beats my favorite fighters. And I'm like, okay. I mean, he's good. Islam's good, man. He just beats my favorite fighters, and that's it. I'm like, and that's the only reason why. I'm just like, every single time he beats one of my favorites, I'm like, fuck.
Wasn't for that ankle pick.
Wasn't for that ankle pick, man. But, that's 311, and 312's main event also got confirmed. That being Sean Strickland, Dracus Duplessis 2 for the middleweight title. So we're going to see how that fight goes the second time around, which was a big fight of the year contender for this year. And at least for me. And yeah, so I'm a little bit excited for that. We're going to see what happens.
Some good pay-per-views coming up.
Yeah, 311 and 312 look really fucking stacked right now. So we're going to start the year off with a bang, 2025.
Hopefully
Here
we
we
can
go.
all make weight. Hopefully we don't trip over microphones.
Fingers crossed. Anyway, guys, on to the entertainment section. Whoa! I just felt like doing that again.
He may be overly hyped because he just got a position at his.
Yeah, I might have just gotten a promotion at my university
Good
newspaper.
cigar.
Yes, URI's own newspaper organization. Anyway, onto the fucking story, guys. Let's get it. So, Linkin Park just released a new album. I know it took us a long fucking time to finally get to it.
Really? We haven't talked about this. They just released a new album. Are you sure?
Yeah, so they just released this album back in November, on November 15th, 2024. Linkin Park has officially come back with their 8th studio album, From Zero. This one is their first album that does not feature the vocals of Chester Bennington. The late singer died by suicide back in 2017 in July. Tragically, long live Chester Bennington's soul. We love you. We miss you, Chester. But now this is the band's first attempt at moving on, and let me tell you, that shit hit for me. It was a pretty good album. Obviously, it seemed like both of the singers shared, like, both Mike Shinoda, the band's founder, and Emily Armstrong, kind of shared a solid 50-50 throughout this whole album, wouldn't you say, on the vocal side?
Oh, I love this. And yes, I do love this new formula they're doing, where they're each given the same amount so that they don't overpower each other and instead shine with each other, also feeding off each other. I like that energy.
Because I feel like back in the Chester days, not that it was a bad thing, but I feel like back in the Chester days, Mike and Chester shared like a 65-35 type of ratio. Like, there are plenty of songs where Chester Bennington would be the only one at the helm, and it would be spearheaded by him and him only. But yeah, it was, but not that it wasn't a bad thing. But like, I like hearing Mike Shinoda get featured more because I'm personally just a big Mike Shinoda fan. I think the dude's super talented.
And
The
he got
dude,
to scream of it too.
and he can even scream a bit too. He kept up with Emily for a little bit on Casualty there, which was another one of the highlight songs of this album. Just goes to show like the variety of talents that. I mean, we already knew Mike Shinoda was a talented guy, right? That dude plays piano, he plays guitar, dude can sing, dude can rap, dude can even paint. And dude can paint, he can even produce songs. A lot of Linkin Park albums were produced by Mike Shinoda. So, like, the guy is a Swiss Army knife of the rock scene and the rap scene. And I like hearing him get featured a little bit more and, sharing that 50-50 dynamic with Emily Armstrong. Because, like, the only song where it was only Emily Armstrong was Over Each Other. and it was purely her vocals. No, little to no intervention from. I think maybe Mike did some background vocals on the chorus, but like there was like little interference from Mike Shinoda in that entire song. Other than that, these two shared like a pretty solid dynamic throughout the entire album. And I'm gonna be honest, this isn't like the best Linkin Park album in the world, obviously, but it's not meant to be. It was a very experimental album because obviously we just had a huge change in fucking vocal structure. We have new vocalist Emily Armstrong and Mike Shinoda. I mean, for years we had Chester and Mike Shinoda. So like, and ever since their last album, One More Light, came out back in 2017 in May, we've just been wondering like what the fuck's gonna happen to Linkin Park. I mean, we've already touched on the Linkin Park comeback and how we feel about Emily Armstrong and Mike Shinoda. We're supporters of both of them, and if I mean there are people that aren't on board with it, which is fine. They got their own opinion. We can have ours. We live
Then you go
happily
suck
ever
an egg.
after.
I mean, what?
But you know, it was a good album. This one. I mean, I got a couple of standout tracks on here. Obviously, we all have our favorites on the album and our least favorites on the album. Not necessarily meaning that the entire album was bad. I gave it a solid 8 out of 10 when I heard it, and I continue to hold that notion that this was a 8 out of 10 type of album. So from zero, um, we've been anticipating this since the comeback in September. So it was pretty sick, man. Honestly, just hearing everything come out and watching Linkin Park make the comeback in the way that they did, it's just it's just been such a fucking ride for me, man. See, I mean, this is my favorite band in existence, guys. So like, I mean, seeing them come back after being so uncertain about their future for like years.
Didn't you go see him live?
I did. I saw them live in New York. When they first came back, like a week afterwards. Like, goddamn, thanks for the fucking warning, guys. Like, you guys came back on September 5th, and then you're like, okay, we're touring next week. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, okay. So, jumped on that shit right away. Got the tickets. Went all the way to Brooklyn from Rhode Island. And,
Kept a shiv on you at all times.
had my shiv on me at all times. Because, you know, how Brooklyn rolls. They're going to be ass with a tire iron. And, you know, it was a great show. Dude, Emily sounded great live. Mike sounded great live. The entire show just fucking rocked. And, you know, they sang Emptiness Machine. None of the newer songs had come out yet. They hadn't even released Heavy as the Crown yet. By the time that I saw them, it was just Emptiness Machine. But that song sounded great live. They did the classic Linkin Park songs as well. First ever live performance of Lost. Well, not first ever, because they did perform Lost during the comeback live stream that was on their YouTube channel. But this was they perform in Lost Live. They perform Friendly Fire, which is another song that got released earlier this year that still features Chester Bennington's vocals. It was a track that was left out of the One More Light album, which for some reason I don't know why Friendly Fire didn't make the One More Light album, but they had their reasons. But nah, it was a great album. They sounded great live, and I'm totally on board with this new era of Linkin Park. And like I've said 1,000 times, this isn't about forgetting the past. It's all about moving forward. It's about remembering Chester Bennington, not forgetting the past, and instead, moving forward. It's a new chapter. We have a new singer, and it's a girl on top of that. So like we're used to having we used to have Chester, who's a male, at there. Now we have a female vocalist, which really sells the fact that this is a new chapter, not so much a Chester replacement. Because I mean, I've already mentioned it 1,000 times on here. If they had just replaced Chester Bennington with somebody that sounded like Chester Bennington, I don't think I would have liked that. I mean, no discredit to like Hybrid Theory, the big Linkin Park tribute band. They're great. They're excellent. It's just I don't know if I would have wanted that, because it's kind of gives you that like it sounds like Chester. It could almost be Chester, but it's not Chester.
I'm just picturing the introduction live, just like, and we got for you, not Chester, everyone, not Chester.
Say again?
We got not Chester, everyone, not Chester.
I mean, those are my personal feelings. Obviously, there are some people that would have wanted that, and they're entitled to that. But that's just not what I would have wanted. And I'm happy that the band didn't take that direction. And instead, this is just a new era. It's a new era. And this album was excellent. It was really good. Like I said, it's not the best Linkin Park album in the world, but it's not supposed to be. It was meant to be a reintroduction to the band. This new dynamic to like really coerce this new notion into the public eye. You know, whenever you do something like that, no, you're not gonna please everybody when it comes to this type of stuff, especially when it comes to like lead singers and like you know getting new lead singers and changing the vocal dynamic a little bit. It's not gonna get sold by everybody. You know, not a lot of people are gonna like that. They're gonna go ahead and they're gonna say, "I want it this way. We should have just left it be," or which that's fine. You can think that way, but that's not what they decided to do. And there's, quite frankly, nothing you can do about it. I mean, that that's just I mean, obviously, it seems like the Emily Armstrong fandom grows a little bit more than it did when it originally happened because of the album's release, because of songs like "Heavy Is the Crown" and "Two Face," which we're gonna go over those, and songs like that. It just overall.
Just leaving out Stained like that.
Oh yeah, Stained and other. I mean, like the ones that were released prior to the album's release. It just kind of gradually building to it. But nah, so it was a good it was a good album. And, obviously not everybody gonna be happy, but that's fine. They got that, we got this, just leave us be. And but yeah, this album was really good. If I had to give a top track list for me, it's Two Faced is actually my favorite on this whole album. Two Faced, Emptiness Machine, and I really love the song Good Things Go. And Anthony, what be your top three from this album?
To give my top three, honestly, I'm gonna go with Stained, then Emptiness Machine, then Two Faced.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, lost my train of thought there. But nah, so these were like excellent tracks, and I mean, Emily obviously handled more of the heavier vocals. She handled the screams, the grits, and did most of the bridges for the songs, like the bridges right before the final chorus and the
Yeah.
and the ending. She did a lot of the bridges, except for on "Cut the Bridge" and "Good Things Go." That was Mike Shinoda. But "Cut the Bridge" though. I want to talk about that song real quick. That was the song that like really grew on me the entire time that the album has been out, right? So it's only been out for about a month now, right? Originally, when I heard "Cut the Bridge," I I wasn't really sold on it. I was like, okay, it's okay, but it's probably not gonna be my favorite on this whole album, right?
Alright, now to introduce yourself as a co host. When I heard the album too, there were two songs that I was iffy about. One was Cut the Bridge, the other was I Gave You Everything I Have. I'm sure we'll get into that in a bit.
Of course.
But yeah, those two, I'm not saying they're not good songs, guys. Don't
We ain't
don't
dissing.
take that from me. They're all good songs. I would say they're all great songs. Those two for me were good songs.
Yeah.
That's my own thing.
Yeah, but "Cut the Bridge," that was a big one for me. It really grew on me as time elapsed. Now, like, I love "Cut the Bridge." I find myself jamming to it all the time now. And I really like that bridge, like right near the end, like something in my head feels broken. I'm the gas from a burner left open. I'm a tightrope held up by a clothespin. Like you guys get it. I don't know. It just was so fun to me, and it just ended up like just growing on me. I'm like, yo, this song's actually pretty good. But we'll go into the other, I guess, weaker song because both you and I have the same like weaker songs on here.
I didn't know you also were like that with I Gave You Everything I Had. But yeah, I Cut the Bridge also grew on me more so than I Gave You Everything I Had. I would still only put them as good songs, but none of these songs I skip.
Yeah, no, they all have a contributing factor to the album and add a different element of the Emily Mike dynamic.
And I'm a big hip hop guy. There are CDs that I play that I will skip songs on. None of these ones I skipped.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. There are some times when I'm listening to Linkin Park albums and I'll skip a song. Like, I'm gonna be real here. I I tend to skip Roads Untraveled a lot off of Living Things, which is like a sin in the eyes of many. But I don't know. I just like it's not that I don't like the song. It's just I'd rather just move on to the next one.
Side note, I just realized this since we're going in depth. I never gave you mine. 8 to 8.5 for this one too.
Oh yeah, yeah, eight and a half. It's like a solid reintroduction to Linkin Park, and that's exactly what this album was meant to be. It's meant to be a reintroduction. I think their second album after this will be more refined, and then it'll be more of a apparent dynamic, like where they're going to continuously push this. Kind of like, I don't want to compare and contrast things, but like Hy- Hybrid Theory, right? When they first came out, that was their introduction, right? That was their big time. Like, I'm not in any way comparing like From Zero to Hybrid Theory. Obviously, different time periods, different
You
circumstances.
wouldn't do that. You'd be outside with pictures and torches. We know.
Yeah, it's just like Hybrid Theory was the introduction to Linkin Park, but Meteora was the refined version of Hybrid Theory. I kind of think of that like that subject of refinery with this one. I think From Zero is the a reintroduction to Linkin Park, and whatever their next album is will be the more refined version, you know? And they're gonna finally settle on one dynamic. Obviously, they're all very different albums. I'm not trying to say that From Zero is on the same uh,
Wavelength.
wavelength as Hybrid Theory. I love Hybrid Theory a lot more than From Zero. But
To get back on track, we were on Cut the Bridge. Were we done with that? Yeah, we both gave our opinion of it. Grew on both of us.
oh yeah, totally. And then I was going on to I Gave You Everything I Have. Perfect. So this song lyrically, actually really good. It's just this the sound of it
Gave off
was
Dead Sarah vibes.
it gave off like them kind of dead it gave off those Dead Sarah vibes. Which
I'm sure you guys know this. It was what group Emily came from.
yep. So Emily Armstrong's old band was a punk rock band called fuck Dead Sarah.
Best known for Weatherman.
Yes. Yes. See, look at you. Look at you go.
I did this for when we went over the Emptiness Machine. When we did that podcast, I went into the Dead Sarah dive. I'm like, okay. I heard the biggest song that was like 2011, 2012, and then I heard the more recent ones. My own opinion ones, the recent ones were more on the fringe for me.
Yeah. Yeah, more on the fringe, but the older stuff like the 2011, 2012 stuff that but yeah, I Gave You Everything I Have sounded very Dead Sarah-y. It was
Yeah.
very punky, and lyrically, it's fucking badass. But like, I don't know, that sound of the song. I mean, if you wanted to go into a punk rock direction, like I have no problem with punk rock, or you want that punky kind of sound. I think Casualty just did a much better job at performing that punky vibe than I Gave You Everything I Have did. But because obviously those are the two like more punk heavy tracks on this kind of like sounding like hunting party type things. Like that's another dynamic that I'm gonna get into after we're done talking about I Gave You Everything I Have. But those are my feelings. Like I Gave You Everything I Have.
So I know why we're going into this. To bring it back, because we don't script these anymore, but the thing with Cut the Bridge, and you guys might know this if you've seen my entertainment parts we do with these CDs and whatnot, is when I first heard it, it's like, okay, that's a bop. I like it. Now I can feel what I feel from it is more like, don't compare us to how we were. We're not being held to those standards. We're doing our own things now, and we're going to take off in that way. Which is one of the reasons why it grew on me. This one, I Gave You Everything I Had. It's honestly, for me, why I feel it's a lot less self-sufficient in and of itself is because it is you comparing yourself to not living up to the standards others hold for you. And I am not a person who cares for that.
Yeah.
And my own take on it.
Nah, you got that. You got that down pat. On God. This song. Back to the whole album as a whole. I hate. I'm jumping everywhere with
Hey,
this.
it's fine. Well, we'll work this out eventually.
Yeah, I'm jumping everywhere with this. It's only 11 tracks and 30 minutes long, so it's actually a really short
It's
album.
only 11 tracks that all hit the top 10.
For real, they did. Like the top 10 hard rock charts were like all Linkin Park one week, and I
Yep.
was like, "Holy shit!" Like, Jesus Christ, that's like the whole fucking album on there.
Yep.
Emptiness Machine being number 1. I think Heavy as the Crown was number 2, and Two Face being number 3. But yeah, those were excellent songs. But yeah, it's definitely a different dynamic. And like, another thing about this album, I saw like bits because I'm such a Linkin Park fanatic and listen to every album.
No.
And
Where's this hybrid there?
and what's that?
I mean, you can see the.
Yeah, you can see my pop figurines in
He's
the
got two
background.
of them
I got
right
two of them. I got two of them. But you know,
he had the vinyl for freaking from Zero like a week after.
Oh yeah, as soon as it was widely available, yo boy got that shit. And
But you a fan? No.
yeah, so it might be because I'm just such a fucking obsessed Linkin Park fan. But I listened to every single Linkin Park album like multiple times over. From Hybrid Theory to One More Light, man, I've listened to it so many fucking times.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. When we did our Linkin Park dive, I listened to all of them 3 times in a row. I still like. I listened to all the albums 3 times a row each. I still could not get all. You guys would catch it back then, but I still could not get all the lyrics and songs divided up in my head.
Yeah, here's the thing. You tell me one song, I will tell you like off the dome exactly what album it came off of. Like if you were, we'll test the theory right now. Anthony, give me a Linkin Park song.
Uh, uh,
Go and try to stump me. We got Isaac in the audience. Fighting Myself was off of Meteora, 20-year anniversary release.
dude, I cannot stump you. I already know that. That's the problem.
We're just testing
It's
the
like-
theory. The Linkin Park theory.
Because the thing is, I know, like, if I say, One Step Closer,
Hybrid theory.
it's like, I know that's off Hybrid Theory, so he's gonna know exactly.
Yeah.
You might be able to tell me the track list in order.
Oh, One Step Closer is track number 2. See? I'm obsessed with Linkin Park. And back to what I was making. I was making a point. I hear different, like, because each individual album has its own sound, at least from what I've gathered from listening to them multiple times over. And each song reflected every album in a different way. Kind of had a similar sound to whatever. Like Emptiness Machine, I said it on the Emptiness Machine podcast when Linkin Park came back. That gives me Minutes to Midnight vibes. You know? That gives me mad Minutes to Midnight vibes. And then Cut the Bridge, that also gave me Minutes to Midnight vibes. Kind of, not that it's on this, kind of like a Bleed It Out. That same kind of like, da, 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 da. Cut the bridge we're on. I bleed it out, dig it deeper. You know what I mean? They kind of had the same like tempo to them, at least for me. And then Heavy as the Crown, that was Meteora for me. That sounded like something that would have come off of Meteora. And with Over Each Other, that sounded like something that would have come off of Living Things. Like, do you see what I mean? Like, not that like any of these songs didn't have any originality. They did. They did.
Gosh, they've already posted that it has no originality, and exactly what you're saying. They just copy paste them before. They've already written that down.
They probably did.
They didn't even get this far into the podcast.
Like if you like, I'm not trying to say that like, oh, they're just copying and pasting everything. No, each song has its own individual identity, but I just hear bits and pieces of like every album and a specific sound that's reflected on that track that reflects the sound or vibe of that album. But yeah, like Over Each Other was Living Things for me. Casualty, Hunting Party. Fucking all day Hunting Party. Overflow, this is like track for track right now. Overflow is 1,000 Suns. And it's got that Two-Face. That's some Hybrid Theory shit. Stained, that one gave me One More Light vibes. And let's see. I gave you Everything I Have once again. That's a Hunting Party vibe. And then Good Things Go, that was like yeah, probably more like a One More Light crossed with a Living Things for that one. But yeah, that's every track, by the way. Now we're just going to go over the top tracks, I guess. So I want to start with Stained. That's a good one right there. So Stained, that was a really good track, and I really liked seeing the dynamic that like Mike and Emily share on this, because in each and every song on this album, Mike and Emily shared a different dynamic. Like they didn't stick to one formula, copy paste. You know, they sang together, but in different ways. On good, not Good Things Go. On Stained, like Mike would do like the hardcore, like da 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 like the really rhythmic stuff, and then Emily would kind of calm it down with 'cause you're stained. You try to hide the mark, but it won't fade. Like, she did, like, and I like seeing, like, what she could do with her voice on that one as well. That was a big highlight for me.
That's why it's my favorite off the album, because we got to see more from Emily and what she's gonna bring to it.
And, like, that kind of vibrato is, like, really cool. At least, whether it's produced or whether it's performed live, I have no doubt that Emily can perform it in both ways.
I'm gonna say when they cut the backtrack off for that second time she did it, I was like, holy shit, this is phenomenal.
Yeah, because then you really only just hear her voice. But maybe a tiny bit of autotune. Obviously, everything has autotune. But, like,
Yeah, a bit in the back, but it's not overly done by the instruments and whatnot. You can focus even
solely.
more finely tuned onto her voice and what she's doing with it.
And then, like, when Mike comes back in, just that same da 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 da, like, he just did the rhythmic shit. He kept the rhythm, and then Emily calmed it down. She gave, like, the medley, the melody. That's the word. But yeah, another one that we both had on our list was Emptiness Machine. We've talked about Emptiness Machine extensively on this podcast.
And I will say, we got a good 85 to 90% of that down pat. We checked with the YouTube channel Genius when they were just on it. We pretty much nailed that one.
We pretty much nailed the meaning of that song. I mean, a little different. I mean, obviously, it's always going to be based on perspective.
Yeah.
But, like, if you perceive it in a different way than we perceive it, but Anthony and I are pretty much on point with how the band saw it. So, like,
Or at least how Emily and Mike saw it.
yeah, at least how Emily and Mike. So I'm not sure. I can't talk for Dave. I can't talk for Joe or Colin or any of the other guys in there. But at least from Mike and Emily's perspective, like, Anthony and I pretty much shared the same dynamic as them when it came to breaking down this song lyrically. Like, it's all about, like, you know, why are you selling yourself away? And, like, finally just kind of having enough of it.
And I'm actually being hard on us. I'd say we were good 92 to 97%.
That's ambitious, my friend.
we were pretty fucking on the money.
Yeah, we were pretty much on the money. We did pretty good with our lyrical breakdown of Emptiness Machine. Go back and listen to our Emptiness Machine podcast when we did that back in, like, September, like, early September. Go back then. I think the thumbnail says about Linkin Park with the picture of the new Linkin Park. So go ahead and listen to our lyrical breakdown of Emptiness Machine. Then go watch Genius's more cleanly cut video. It's pretty much the same meaning. A little different. A couple of disparities in there. We missed the whole God thing. But, like, we saw altar more of, like, a sacrificial thing, than we did, like, a place of prayer. Which, honestly, we probably should have considered a place of prayer first. But
we did. We had interference from live studio audience bringing that into account.
Yeah.
And yeah, we touched on it briefly. We just didn't emphasize it as much.
Yeah. So, like, that was on both of our lists. That's Emptiness Machine. It's on my list. It's number 2 for me. And for you, was it number 1?
It was number 2, Stain.
Stain Beat It? Yeah, there you go. Stain was a fucking good song, man. I can't talk about that song enough, bro. That shit was fucking sick. Like, I'm telling you.
Two-Face was also...
That one, that's my favorite off of the album, just because I'm a fucking Linkin Park nerd, right? And I love that classic Linkin Park sound. Obviously, I never have a problem with the band switching up their shit, because that just tells me that you're not going to be defined by, A, what people want you to do, and B, just being your own kind of artist. You know what I mean?
This is exactly what Mike was saying. And like, I don't know why I always write songs like this. Oh yeah, it's because everyone keeps telling me this is how we should be.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's just like that. I don't like that. Like, it's their band. They're gonna make the music that they want, and they wouldn't put it out if they didn't think it was good. You know what I mean? Like, let me tell you, Mike Shinoda, I don't know the guy personally, but I can probably tell you just based off of his mannerisms that guy's a perfectionist. He would probably obsess on, like, one bar of a song for, like, an hour.
Well, I mean, he did show it in the interview, which I am going to reference just to prove that we did in fact watch it. When Emily said she didn't know that changing 2 words would bring out that kind of a difference in the bridge.
Mm-hmm. When she added the so fucking naive to the chorus.
He's like, yeah, it actually changes the whole meaning of it.
Yep. Because then it's more angry than it is, like, pleading, because the original chorus is just kind of like you're pleading for it to stop. Like, let you cut me open just to watch me bleed. Gave up who I am for who you wanted me to be. Don't know why I'm hoping for what I want. Like, it's a hopelessness. When you add in the so fucking naive, it shows your anger about it. And rather than kind of like, I don't want to say woe is me, but like kind of like the woe is me
It kind
shit.
of shows that you're not just gonna put up and take it.
Yeah.
Like, best way to put it.
Even Mike in the interview was like, do we drop the F-bomb here? Yeah, we do. And then like I can tell you that Mike Shinoda is probably a fucking perfectionist, and he's gonna be sitting there at the fucking studio listening to one part of a 2-minute song, probably for like an hour, trying to just perfect it, you know? And then he put so much work into that. First people say, it's not hybrid theory. Brother! Like, hybrid theory! Love hybrid theory, but that was 25 fucking years ago, man! It's like, that's like, let the band evolve. And plus, if they kept that same kind of sound, sure, they want to win over that, like, one section of fans. But, like, they ultimately wouldn't have evolved and stayed as relevant as they are. Because, like, look at what happened to all the other new metal bands now. Like, Limp Bizkit. How you doing over there, Limp Bizkit? How you doing, Fred Durst? I love Limp Bizkit, by the way. But like that sound, that new metal era, if they had kept that hybrid theory sound, Linkin Park, they would have faded into obscurity like Limp Bizkit, and just had like their own niche fans.
I was gonna say they would have kept those 926,000 fans throughout the course of the entire band's existence instead of going to become such a pop culture phenomenon.
And then like Linkin Park has never been defined by one sound. I mean, the only two albums that sound remotely similar, maybe, and like even then there's disparities within them, is Hybrid Theory and Meteora. Like every other album ever since then has just had a different sound to it. I mean, Minutes to Midnight has more of an alt rock feel, more of an alternative rock feel, more of a, just that kind of a, like just alternative in general. A Thousand Suns was a lot more electronic. A Thousand Suns was more like electric rock. A Living Things was definitely brought home the fact of electronic rock and EDM. They even added some EDM elements to their shit in 2012. And guess what else was happening at the time in 2012? There were EDM elements in literally fucking everything. I could tell you that because I was alive for that. I was alive for that. So, there was EDM elements in every song in 2012. What did Linkin Park do? They added EDM elements to their album Living Things in 2012. Their next album would be Hunting Party. That was more of a punk rock sounding, more anti-establishment type of album. I can't really reflect that that's what was going on at the time, but it's still trying to sell home the fact that it was a different sound. And then, fuck it. I mean, One More Light, their last album with Chester Bennington, was pop. It was pop. Like, Linkin Park has never, ever, ever been defined by one sound. And that's what I love about them. Any comments on that?
Yeah, for more citations, see our previous podcast going over every single Linkin Park album.
Oh boy, we gotta update that shit now. We gotta add From Zero somewhere on that list. We just gotta do like a one day, just one of these podcasts, just like fucking top 10 that shit, or top 8 that shit. But another song, going back to From Zero now. This one was all about reintroducing Linkin Park, and this was a more of a rap rock kind of album, I would say, like rap rock mixed with some little elements of punk in there, like And another song that was big for me was Two Face. That was some Hybrid Theory shit, man. Dude, like a lot of people make that comparison to One Step Closer with Two Face. Some people even going as far to call it Two Steps Closer. I don't know if that's an endearing compliment or if they're trying to insult it. Could be either one, I guess. But
perspective, all how you feel about it.
Exactly. But to me, Two Face was like a beautiful love child of One Step Closer and Points of Authority. I mean, it had those DJ scratches that were in Points of Authority, and it has the same kind of, I guess, lyrical structure that One Step Closer had. And it was just a big nod to the classic Linkin Park sound. Heavy as the Crown did the same shit. I mean, with that that Meteora dynamic where Mike would just go crazy on the rap lines, and then here comes Emily just doing the metal chorus.
I think it was really smart of the band to release those 3 songs to help lull, I'm gonna say, the Disturbed fans. I didn't want to say
The
Linkin,
unsure.
I didn't want to say Linkin Park haters because they love Linkin Park in their own way.
They just didn't know about Emily.
In order to lure them into trying the new album.
I would say undecided people. People that didn't quite have an opinion on Emily yet, but love Chester. Because for me, I was sold pretty easily. I just go based off how you sound and how you blend with Mike. If you do both of those things, I'm good. And Emily did those things for me on Emptiness Machine. But let me tell you, the first time that I heard Emptiness Machine, I was telling Anthony earlier, I was like stone faced. Like, you would think I was gonna be like super duper excited, like, yes, Linkin Park's back. I already had my mini freak out on the bus. But the first time I actually went and listened to Emptiness Machine, like, thoroughly, to like actually form my opinion on Emily Armstrong and the new angle that Linkin Park was taking, I I sat there, right, dead silence in a fucking parking lot, and I just turned up the music and I just listened. I heard Mike coerce everybody in, and he mentioned this in the interview that he did with Genius. Like, it started off with something familiar,
Yep.
which I thought that was fucking perfect. You
Smart
have
move.
it was super duper smart. I think Emptiness Machine was the perfect comeback song that they could have chosen off of this album. Like, if they had come back with any of the other songs, even the ones that they would further, like, later release, it wouldn't have hit as hard. Unless, like, this one, whatever their comeback track was going to have to be the one that, like, just nails it, And they nailed it. So, I was listening to Mike just sing the chorus, let you cut me open. And I'm listening, and I'm like, okay. And then we have our instrumental break, and then we hear Emily come in. As soon as Emily comes in, I'm like, I listen, going around like a revolver. I'm like, okay. It's been decided how we lose. I'm like, okay. And then she goes into it, and then when she does that big, I let you cut me out, I was like, oh, fuck. Like, legit, my face went from this to, and then I was fucking sold. And then when I heard them singing together at the end, at that bridge there, when they're like harmonizing with each other, I was like, oh yeah, we're back, baby. Oh, we're back, baby. And it's not to say that I don't miss Chester. Obviously, I do. And but we're always gonna have his songs. We're always gonna have his voice, and he's forever going to be a part of Linkin Park. And his spirit's gonna be felt in every Linkin Park performance from them, even on the comeback live stream. Mike Shinoda tells the audience, right? And in the role of Chester Bennington this afternoon, each and every one of you, after he introduces the rest of the band. So, and it's just like it's like a paying homage to him, and we're always gonna have him, in one way or
Better than not Chester. That guy sucked.
Better than not Chester. I'm not trying to knock on Hybrid Theory, man. Hybrid Theory is inherently not a bad band. They're a great Linkin Park tribute band. It's just the guy, the lead singer for Hybrid Theory, is so dead on to Chester's tone. It's like, oh fuck. It's like scary, And it kind of gives you that kind of like, ooh, it sounds like Chester. It seems like it's Chester, but it's not Chester,
You can have this with lots of meat or invitation lots of meat.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. But regardless, though, Two-Face was excellent. Emptiness Machine was the perfect comeback song. And Two-Face gave a straight nod to that classic Linkin Park sound that, like, every Linkin Park fan knows and loves. Like, I fucking love that sound, okay? But it doesn't mean I'm opposed to everything else that they do. But I always got a soft spot for that kind of dynamic. For those songs that sound like One Step Closer. For those sounds that sound like Faint. Or for those sounds that sound like Points of Authority. Or even Paper Cut.
Now we have Good Things Go.
Yeah, now we're going over. Oh shit, guys. Good Things Go was a crazy fucking song. Okay.
We should go over it the first time you heard it.
First time I heard it.
And the second time.
The first time I heard it, when the album first came out, I liked the song. I thought it was very pretty, and I was like, "This is a good fucking song. Let's fucking get it." The second time I heard it, and I actually went into like depth, like with it, like actually like critically listened to the song, I cried. So like legit tears. It was terrible, but also amazing all at the same time. I cried. It was an absolute excellent closing to the album. And it just Emily's voice, you saw how powerful it was. You could see how much she projected her voice on the especially that last chorus, you know. Only you could save me from my lack of self-control, and I won't make excuses for the pain I caused this ball. Just getting an increasing like intensity in her voice as the song went on, and then that badass bridge by Mike Shinoda right at the right before Emily would bring it home. It was like, yo, I'm just taking a shot. like maybe I'm just too eager, or maybe I lost the plot. Yo, I used to pity some people. I said they were missing a spine. Maybe the problem is ego. Maybe the problem is mine. Really, I'm fine. Don't get too intimate. Don't get curious. This is just feeling like it's not that serious. Like that fucking breakdown. That's a unique way that I've never heard Mike Shinoda rap before. Even on his like solo shit when he did the post traumatic thing. Like, no, I'm not trying to undermine post traumatic. Excellent album, but like even when he did post traumatic, he did not rap like that, and like it was like a gradual like build up to like ultimately like when he brings it home, and then Emily just does like truly brings it back, you know, and like I don't know, am I weird for saying like it kind of gave me like some NF vibe towards the end there?
No.
Because I think it did, you know? Like, I think Mike follows NF on Instagram, I've noticed. So, he's clearly a fan of his. But, like, I heard, like, an NF vibe in Mike Shinoda's rapping towards the end of Good Things Go. And I'm just gonna eat that shit up, dude. I love that build up. So, yeah, and then, like, the chorus was amazing. I love that little like acoustic guitar in the background that they had, and then like obviously the soundtrack from Mr. Han on the turntables, really, and the drums, all of it was just a epic conclusion of the whole album, and really made you like think like, holy fuck, like yo, this was crazy. And then on top of that, towards the end of Good Things Go, it kind of starts to play a similar sound to what the intro was. So then by the time like if you're listening to it on Spotify per se and you have it like the album on repeat, like you hear like Good Things Go the outro, and then it flows right into the From Zero intro again. So I thought that was sick, because then that just makes you want to listen to the fucking album again. But yeah, nah, Good Things Go was fucking excellent, man. Love that shit. What do you feel about Good Things Go?
I like it, and I think it's a song that has different meanings for different people.
Mhm.
I agree with you in regards to how you felt a bit of NF vibes from it, because what he's really good at is self-reflection, and the song definitely highlights that.
A lot of self-reflection
So,
in this song.
so that's where I get that from. Uh,
Like I really did get some fucking NF vibes at that like last bridge by Mike Shinoda. I've never heard Mike rap like that.
which just goes to show that they're not done expanding their skills, which is good.
And
That's
it's like,
great.
yeah, and it shows like they're not ready to, they're still gonna evolve. They're gonna keep going, but they still give nods to like their original sound. Like Emptiness Machine, Heavy as the Crown, and Two Face are all like really classic sounding Linkin Park songs, you know, and like they're still giving you that. It's just this different person singing, but like it's still the same kind of dynamic. And yeah, I mean, I love Chester, man. I really do. Like, I really wish he didn't die. Like, and then, but it's just like, I can't reverse that now. And I have to, like, acknowledge Chester. And I think what they're doing by still performing the songs that Chester sang on, because that's another dynamic that, like, a lot of the Linkin Park people are saying. They're like, I like the new stuff, but I don't want Emily to sing the old stuff, right? I'm like, okay, I understand where you're coming from because you have like certain memories with those songs, and you have Chester's, you have Chester's voice in mind when you think about those songs, and those memories are powerful. Nostalgia is one hell of a drug, you know. And but I'm like, I think they'd be doing more of a disservice to Chester Bennington by not performing the songs that he sang on if it wasn't like I think they'd be doing more of a disservice to him because then they'd really be erasing the past by then, you know.
Yep,
And
I feel the exact same way.
I'm like, yeah, sure, you're like you really closely associate One Step Closer to Chester Bennington, or you really associate Numb or Faint with Chester Bennington. I do too. It's just it would be worse if you don't sing those songs and not acknowledge Chester Bennington's vocals on that. And it's just like it's just a different sound now, you
I
know?
I feel myself that the people who are thinking along that line are of the mind that if it's not Chester doing it, it shouldn't be done. Which is an understandable viewpoint, but I don't think that he himself would want those songs to not be performed because he gave his all for those songs.
Yeah. And like he sang his heart out on those songs. I saw this really cool image on Instagram the other day. I can't really give like credits to it because I don't know who originally made the image. But like I took a screenshot of it because it was so cool. I'm gonna show you right now. So you see how it shows Mike and Chester, like they're like frames, and Mike's the brain, and they connect it with a musical strand to Chester's heart.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you guys can see that image in the camera here, but if you look at that image right there, on the left is Mike Shinoda, and it's showing his brain, and then they're connected by a line of music that goes to Chester's heart, which I really like that. You know, that's why I feel like if they don't sing those songs, they'd be doing a big disservice to Chester Bennington if they just let it die. You know?
Yeah, I feel like they're worried that this is just Linkin Park replaced with Emily
Yeah,
in
because
its spot, and it's not.
yeah, because I've seen a lot of people say I like Emily, I like the new stuff, but I don't want her to sing the old stuff. I'm like, but why? You know, because like that would do more of a disservice to, like I already said it, to Chester Bennington. Because and also, there's a lot of people that are starting to pay attention to Linkin Park now. They just came back and made a huge fucking splash. Say they go to a Linkin Park concert because they really like the new album, right? Say they're one of those fans, because those fans exist, by the way. A lot of my friends, like especially like my 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 friend girls, they are now paying attention to Linkin Park because I mean, there's a female as a lead now, which is cool, and then also they're starting to like listen to like the performances and whatnot on like YouTube, and then they're like, "What's this song?" And it's like one of Chester's songs. So then you tell them that it's this song, but Chester sang on, and then it introduces them as to why us as Linkin Park fans will accept Emily, but also want you to remember Chester. Like, because if they don't hear Emily sing "Paper Cut" per se, or they don't hear Emily sing "Faint," they're not gonna know that that song exists. And they're not gonna be able to hear Chester Bennington. You know, because if you're gonna listen to Linkin Park, you gotta listen to everything, man. You know, you can't just stay in one camp. You know, you have to know both of them. Like, and I feel like if they don't perform those songs, then people, the new fans that are just coming around now, are like the young kids that just heard Linkin Park because like their dad or their mom saw they came back.
And Heavy as the Crown is on League of Legends.
Exactly, and Heavy as the Crown is on League of Legends, so that's gonna bring in another audience. You know, I'm like, if you don't watch, like, if you don't hear Emily sing those songs that Chester sang, you'll never know that how special Chester is to us. Like, we love him. Don't get me wrong, I fucking love Chester. I'm so sad that he died. I still am now. But like, it's like if they don't hear those songs and they don't hear Emily perform them, they're never gonna know they exist. Especially if they're young, you know. And then therefore, Chester Bennington's voice would die, and I don't want that to happen. I want Chester to be preserved, you know, or conserved. I think conserved is a better word. I want Chester to be conserved. I want him to be still a prominent figure without in Linkin Park culture without him being here, you know, because he's still a part of the band. You know, he's just not here anymore, and he's still a big part of it. So that's just my feelings on it. Why Emily should be singing those songs. And but maybe y'all don't like that. That's fine though. But that's how I feel about it. I don't know. You got anything else to say about From Zero, or just New Linkin Park in general?
Dude, we could go over so much with From Zero. We could go song by song, lyric by lyric.
For realsies, we could.
We've done it before. It's a great album, and I think it's a great presentation for how we as fans can move forward going into the future now that Chester's no longer with us. I am anxious for what happens next and how widespread it's gonna get. Because, like, busting into these scenes like League of Legends, like, let's say, an NF fan hears, good things go and checks that out, I can't help but feel like that's a good thing that we should all appreciate more.
And plus, it's like there's a lot of like people from like your generation that are like have children of their own, right? And now they grew up with Chester, sure, but now Emily's going to be a part of their child's upbringing. You know, it's kind of like a passing the torch down. You know, because we can't let Linkin Park's music die at all. We just can't. It's too generational. It's too fucking good. And whether it's Chester or Emily, doesn't matter. Those songs can't die. And we have to keep moving forward, performing those songs while also acknowledging Chester Bennington's legacy, but as well as accepting this new part of Linkin, this new era, and continuing to keep this band as relevant as they can be for as long as they can go, and they've already lasted 25 years. So, I mean, that's pretty fucking good so far. And we just can't allow for Linkin Park music to die, whether it's Chester or Emily. It needs to keep going, And that's my closing statement. You got anything else?
No, that about covers it for me.
Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I kind of split this one down the middle. I think we were more Linkin Park heavy today than we were MMA related, but the first half hour is MMA. So, Colby Covington, Joaquin Buckley this weekend. UFC 310 was one for the books, and From Zero was one hell of a fucking album, guys. So thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.